call the meeting to order, and we have an established quorum. And we have a presentation today, but I'll go down here and then we'll go to Mr. Kevin Johnson from 911 and have him do the presentation. I need a motion to approve the previous minutes from the November 18th.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Under old business, I had discussion on the smart meters from New York State Electric and Gas representative. Is there any changes in that?
No, we're basically done. We installed a little over 53,000 or 54,000 meters throughout the mechanical division. By the end of the year, there's probably less than 2,000 customers that have either opted out or are seasonal, and we haven't been able to get to them to let them know or to arrange access to transfer. So we're still doing that. And some people that opt out do decide to change over to a smart meter once they start getting charged for the regular meeting. So, but we did well, and it's proving very beneficial for us. So we're able to identify extended outages better, which is what we had seen from our pilot program in Ithaca. So it's doing that well. So
Is there any effect on the cold? It's very cold with the meters now.
no.
Okay.
Cold is affecting just usage in general. The bills are higher. Supply prices are through the roof. In my 32 years of service, I've never seen supply prices this high. There was that one day there was 96 cents a kilowatt hour on the market. So that was fourth week of January, I think it was. So, and that's just.
Where does it come from? Canada?
No, it's a lot of natural gas still. Most of it is still natural gas.
Okay.
Most of the power that's coming in from Canada is basically going down south, I believe, down towards the city. But when you've got the bitter cold that we had for so long, mixed with the amount of demand, the supply price, the wholesale price on the market, like any other commodity, goes high. So, and that's what we're.
So you use natural gas to make the electricity, and
Correct.
they put the prices to natural gas on.
Correct. So
So
it didn't help when the state closed down the nuclear plant. That has a huge ramification because that's just going to make power regardless. If it's in service, just regulate the rods and you got power. And now you have to ramp up because they're gone. You have to ramp up the natural gas units higher. Coal is basically gone. There's not a lot of oil at all. That's been gone before the coal plants went out of business. So everything is, and there's not enough solar and wind to even sniff what is needed by the state to support the demand. And
will there ever be in our lifetime?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. The way that the country wants to electrify and the world wants to electrify, something's got to change. Physics have got to change in order to be able to meet the demand with clean energy. You've got environmentalists that want to take down the dams because it impacts the rivers, it impacts the fish and the wildlife. You've got people that don't want to put the wind power up because it affects the birds, but you do want people to put the wind power up because it's green energy. They don't want solar because of the same situations. It's taking up farmland, and yet it's going to generate power cleanly. So you're always going to have a tug and pull. It's a no-win situation, and unfortunately, until people accept other people's viewpoints, you've got to have a mix of everything in order for it to work.
Common sense and reality, that doesn't Fortunately,
That's not a thing.
every county sees a little bit differently.
So, we do have a rate case, that is kind of out there, but it's not going well as far as we have a certain amount that we want to raise it, raise the rates, and the government doesn't, the legislature and the PSC doesn't want to see that because it's an election year, so go
Oh, yeah, they're
figure.
getting a lot of
So we'll
pushback.
see what happens with that. Negotiations are going on, litigation is going on, so we'll see what happens, but we won't have an update on that for probably until the summer.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for all the good news.
Yeah. The good news is last year, I think we had the least amount of storms. I mean, it was wonderful,
It was.
from our viewpoint going, well, it's less damage to our system and the customers don't impact. But I think at the most we had, I want to say 13 major storms. I've never seen it with that amount of storms. It's always, by mid-year, we're normally at 20. So it's a little odd. Let's just put it that way. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not normal.
Nice.
Yeah, don't jinx us, Adrian.
Okay, Kevin, welcome.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So we're gonna start with you, and then before we go on to new business and the committee reports, so we'll start with you.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I know most everyone in the room here, not everybody. The chairman invited me to introduce myself and to discuss the role of the 911 department. So I'm Kevin Johnson, Director of 911. I've been with the department for 29 years. I served as Chief Dispatcher under Rob Lopez for 7 or 8 years, probably, before he retired. Deputy EMS Coordinator for 28 years. How long have you been coordinator?
A lifetime.
Wow.
I've been PJ's number 2 for 25-ish years. Next slide, Ken. And I apologize in advance. This is a pre-existing slide. PowerPoint that I just threw some things in at the end. So that's our staffing. Next slide. I'm going to buzz through some of this. Departmental structure. Next slide. This is the application process to be a 911 dispatcher. We have a 10-page employment application. You have to pass a typing test, a background investigation, which includes a search of local law enforcement records, mental health records, DCJS fingerprinting, polygraph if we feel it's needed, professional records checks, full psychological exam, drug testing, hearing exam, and medical exam. Much of that is new. February of this year, the state passed new standards, so it's pretty extensive. Next slide. Just some of the qualifications that are required. Typical dispatcher will do 8 months on the job training, CPR certification, NIMS, they need ICS 100, 200, 700, 800. They'll receive advanced EMD certification, a 40-hour basic and a 40-hour advanced public safety course.
How many statistically don't make it through the training?
About 80%.
Don't make it through.
Next slide. Just some of what's contained in the basic class, 40-hour basic class. Next slide. And this is the advanced class. We aren't required to send our dispatchers to advanced training, but we do. Because there's some pretty good training. There's specialty areas like suicidal trouble callers, domestic violence, hazardous materials awareness, things like that. Additional certifications, anyone that trains as an 911, trains a new employee to be a 911 dispatcher has to be a CTO. We do have members trained in TERT, that's like a disaster deployment that can be deployed around the state. If you remember in Irene, Greene counties had a lot of damage and they received a TERT deployment there. We do have a couple members certified as TERT leaders. All of our shift supervisors are certified communication center supervisors. We have a couple tactical dispatchers that can be deployed out to the field if needed. And all of our dispatchers are EMD. I'm sorry, all of our quality assurance reviewers are EMPQs certified to do that. Next slide. We're required as an I-1 dispatchers to do 21 hours of continuing education. And again, that's specific to 911 dispatchers. A typical police dispatcher, typical fire dispatcher, if they're not answering 911 lines, they're not required to do any of this. We are. Next slide. That's just our shift configurations for 12-hour shifts. Next slide. We do dispatch every discipline, police, fire, and EMS, 4 rescue squads, plus the county EMS system, which is a lot of work. Thank you. I got it. 30 fire departments, 6 police departments, and some specialty teams and agencies. Next slide. We answered 21 phone lines. 16 911 lines, 3 10-digit business lines, and 2 administrative lines, and we are minimum staffed at 2. So you can imagine that managing 21 phone lines in addition to dispatching calls on the radio can be challenging. That's why sometimes you'll hear, if you're monitoring a scanner or radio, you'll hear the dispatcher telling you to stand by unless you have an emergency. That's why they're managing 21 phone lines. Next slide. Just some statistics from 2024. I didn't get a chance to update 25 yet. So we answered over 42,000 calls last year. The vast majority of the 911 calls are wireless. Really the only landline 911 calls we take anymore are from businesses. Next slide. Some more statistics. Like I just said, 74% of the 911 calls were wireless. Average answer time is 6.37 seconds. 96% of the 911 calls are answered in less than 10 seconds. State standard is 90, so we're well ahead of that. Average processing time of the 911 call, 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And over 3,000 calls were abandoned before we even picked up the call. A lot of that is smartphones, cell phones in their pockets, things like that. Next slide. Just dispatched over 38,000, almost 39,000 incidents. You can see EMS is the leader in that.
Does that include standbys?
That includes standbys, and that's why that number is that.
Yeah.
Next slide. There's our emergency communications network, 9 different sites. 3 brand new sites that were brought online last year. That was all Rob Lopez's project. That's one of the new sites. Gallatin. Next slide. What we call over-the-top technology. So this is technology that we have in the 911 center available to us above and beyond the 911 system. We use a tool called Rapid SOS. We were one of the first in the area to onboard that years ago. It's used for locating callers using GPS technology instead of the old traditional cell phone technology, trying to triangulate their position. Rapid SOS uses GPS. It's way more accurate. It'll also show us any medical information or emergency contact information stored in your cell phone. Prepared Live is a fantastic tool that we onboarded 4 or 5 years ago. It allows us to do 2-way texting. We can do outbound texting. We can send a link to a caller to turn on their camera for us. If they're not able to speak, we can turn the camera around, make it forward facing if we want to do that. The dispatcher has the ability to blur their screen. If it's a situation where it's becoming very violent and they don't think they want to see it, there's an option to blur the screen. It also does real-time transcription. This is kind of cool. We're now transcribing every 911 call that comes into the 911 center. The dispatcher sees real-time transcription, and it will also do translation. If somebody's speaking a foreign language, the dispatcher doesn't know what it is. You click a button, a bot comes online, an AI bot, and it'll detect the language and immediately start interpreting it for you. This is the latest, this assisted AI and keyword detection. That's kind of cool too. AI will sit and monitor every phone call that comes in, and you can set certain keyword parameters. For instance, I have, Don didn't show this. I have, but unfortunately I can't share it. I have it set up to notify me anytime it detects heroin or overdose. So in testing it, I think I talked to you about that.
Yeah, we talked about that in the meeting.
when I first set it up to notify me I was home, I was off duty. And I got an alert from AI and it detected overdoses. But I'm saying to myself, I've got a scanner on like that, nothing's been dispatched. So I'm like, yeah, this thing's gonna be a piece of crap. And like 30 seconds later, the ambulance called out. So AI notified me that quick. So that's gonna be really good tool for us. Next slide. This is probably hard to see, but this is the transcription. This is what the dispatcher's looking at. So you'll see the top line is the dispatcher answering the call. 911, what's the address of the emergency? This call just happened the other day. This was a wacky one. The caller says, yeah, I got a brother. He's menacing. He meant to say menacing, then he corrects himself. I have him menacing me with a taser and then the call taker cuts him off. What's the address? He continues. I don't know, some kind of handgun. Now he has an axe in the back of his hand. This guy was all over the place. So she cuts him off again, tries to get the address. Next slide. Oh, go back. If you look at the top there, the yellow star, that's where if he's speaking a foreign language, she clicks that button and the AI bot comes on and starts translating for her. That green button, that's where she can send a link for media connection.
With the language, if they are speaking a foreign language, will it translate backwards? So if you're speaking, they'll hear it in their language.
Yep.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it
That's
translates
awesome.
both ways.
That's awesome.
How do we get this?
You're right.
Yeah, I know.
Next one. So this is the other part of the prepared live AI that the call taker is looking at. The mapping up there is mapping the current call, past calls, some other things. On the right there are historical incidents associated with the phone number and or the location. So that top one is from December 3rd. That is a hit on the phone. The bottom is a hit on the location. So my glasses are terrible. On September 30th, I think it says, there was a drug-induced erratic behavior of recently released inmate at that same location. And then at the bottom, under the map, that's AI preparing a summary of what's going on. So again, this was a real call just the other day. I was in my office. I heard the call taker say taser. And then I heard her say machete. And then I heard her say handgun. So I got out of my chair and went out to dispatch. And this is right where I went first, to this AI summary to find out what's going on. So the AI summary says, caller reports his brother, 57 to 59 years old, is outside the residence menacing him with a hatchet. Previously threatened him with a taser and handgun last week. Is a two-time felon, drug addict, and appears intoxicated. Caller's 84-year-old mother with dementia and nephew also in the home. So it provided me I didn't have to try to read through the CAD notes and try to figure out what's going on. AI did it for me. So it's been a really useful tool for us. Next slide.
So you use that information to pass along to the police agency.
Yeah, absolutely. We use I am responding, which is for the fire and EMS, basically. Incident notifications, they receive text and push apps on their phone. I'm sorry, not two-way, but text messaging on the county level, the agency level. What 3 words? That's kind of a cool tool we have. It's now integrated with our phone system. It's a location service. This company mapped every square inch of the world in 10 by 10 squares, 10 foot by 10 foot squares, and assigned each square a unique 3-word combination. So if somebody, which we used it for a lost hiker out in Copake, it's not long ago. The phone gave us the 3 words of where the location, where the caller was. We were able to have the fire chief bring up what 3 words on his phone, gave him the 3 words, and then he was looking at exactly where that lost hiker was. Next slide. So this is a look at what 3 words. That's where we are right now. That's our 3-word location up at the top. Pound, cube, underlines. You can see the squares there where they've mapped every. Next slide.
It's funny that
And a
tourism.
10
gets
by
credit.
foot, so a 10 foot by 10 foot,
Yep.
you could
Square.
actually go into a room of a house.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
did tourism.
Anywhere in the world.
There's
Yeah.
systems out west, like helicopter services and stuff, that's how they dispatch. They just say respond to this. The helicopter puts it in their, 3 words, and that's how they
That's
respond.
insane.
Oh,
Imagine that project.
I know.
Your eyes are gotta go with
Hey, it's even older than AI, so I would be.
Yeah.
This is a new tool for us. It's not new to first responders. I know some of you are probably familiar with it, but Ask Rail. They made this available to communication centers last year. We onboarded it last year. Next slide. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is it's a specialty. It's an app that will tell you information on rail cars, contents, and things of that nature. But what's new about it is they've made it available to communication centers. Next slide. So it's not a public tool for qualified emergency personnel only, but if anyone's interested, there's the link for registration. Next slide. That's just a slide out what it does. Again, it's for material lookups. You can see the entire train, look up railroad contacts, reference tools, things of that nature. So this is where the dispatcher would enter the rail car number. If an IC gives them a rail car number, it says, tell me what's in this. They enter it there, they click search. So next slide. And this is what they see. So at the top, they're looking at information on the car itself. They see that it is loaded. Below that is the contents. I can't see because I'm blind, but this is carrying, I don't know how many pounds of crude oil. They can click on the placard and it'll bring up the ARG information. There's information on the railroad that's responsible. And then just some other emergency contact information like Kentra and everything. Next slide. So this is where the dispatcher is looking at the entire train. So imagine maybe a fire company is dealing with a fire on one of the cars and they want to know what is in the car attached to each side of that. The dispatcher can go in and click on each rail car attached. So just next slide, please. So that's just one of the other train cars that's attached. Next slide. That's just some additional information that's available to the dispatchers. That's just the app that the field units will use. Again, it's Ask Rail. There's similar products available out there too.
Oh, on the app, can the person who has the app and looking at it, they obviously can put the rail number in as well and get the same information?
Yep. It's, obviously we will prefer that. Takes the dispatch center out of the loop and the chief can just sit there and look at the data. So this is our CAD system. We do store hazardous information, hazmat info in the CAD system. That arrow is pointing to what we call our alerts box. Things such as hazmat information, premise history, key locations, all that would appear there. So this is ADM milling. And we see we have the house symbol, which is past incidents that have occurred there. And then the hazmat symbol. So if the dispatcher clicks on that, go ahead to the next slide. This pops up. There's the LEPC information for that site. What's stored there, the emergency contacts, things like that. So that's where we store that in the CAD system. This is our intranet, so it's like a non-public facing internet page. We do have some information, hazmat information stored on here for the dispatchers. Next slide. Basically, we have the E-plan, the ERG, and the LEPC information. Next slide. So this is the E-plan data for the dispatcher. Next slide. If they click on the ERG, next slide. ERG opens. Ignore the header there. I have to update that. Next slide. And the LEPC information. Next slide. There's all the LEPC information that's available for the dispatcher. Next slide. And my alert, as cool, it's just we're having a sort of a side meeting over here. We do, upon request of the chairman of the board, EMO, OEM, fire coordinator, or EMS coordinator, we can activate NY alert to make reverse 911 notifications, even non-emergency public alert information. Next slide. This is just the dashboard that the dispatcher sees. So you can see we've got about 30,000 contacts in here. there are those 30,000 contacts plotted on the map. Every one is a little yellow dot.
Kevin, you can zone that to a particular area too.
Oh, yeah, yep. Yep. We can zone it by drawing a polygon on the map, targeting a specific group that's subscribed for specific alerts, a municipality, things of that nature. Next slide. That's just some of the recent alerts that have gone out. Most of them are for the public transportation group, but there is that red flag one in there. That was the state of emergency that went out for the snowstorm. I believe that's it. Anybody have questions for me?
Wow. A good presentation.
Can it fix dinner too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we got questions. Anybody? Hit them with questions here.
I just want to point out too that my role here with LEPC will be different than Rob Lopez's was. Because Rob wore a couple of hats that I don't wear. He was a deputy emergency manager. He was in charge of grants, did the hazmat grant funding. I don't do any of that. Just so you understand, my role will be a little bit different with LEPC than his was.
So, Rob will be coming back. That's still the plan as of a couple of weeks ago. Once he's a consultant now, helping out. He wanted to help finish it.
So Lisa,
And then he's gonna come back as a, deputy director of emergency management,
so recently there was one of the papers, the Columbia paper, Register, I don't know, one of them had something about money's coming for 911 or something. Was it broadband again or something?
Yeah, there were two recent grants awarded to Columbia County. One was a $1.5 million grant for next generation 911. That was to upgrade our call handling equipment. The most recent one was an EZNet grant. That was to update our broadband infrastructure. We want to diversify. Right now, we ride a lot of the same poles to provide fiber connections. We want to sort of diversify that for redundancy purposes. But that's what that grant funding was for.
Was this under Rob?
Rob does a lot of,
He's
he
gonna,
does, I think, all the emergency, whether it's communications, emergency management, hazmat, he does all those grants.
so is he gonna continue with that?
That's what he's,
It's good.
he's gonna come back as a deputy director and do that. But I will say, a lot of people don't understand how advanced our 911 system is, and Kevin has been involved and a real backbone of that whole effort over the years. And I know, you don't like, but he has been really the backbone of the whole thing. I mean, Rob has done a lot. He's got money and he was director, and you have to have a good leader like that. But I'll tell you, Kevin really played a big role in our advanced 911 system. And the fact that 911 works so closely with our EMS plan, I heard again last week that our EMS program that we're doing now is one of the best that they've seen in this whole region of the EMS thing. So it's
And I can say Kevin made references, a lot of work. It is a lot of work. That threw a tremendous amount of work on those dispatchers because of moving ambulances around throughout the county and trying to keep track. And it's a tremendous job that they do.
But it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It saved lives. It saved a lot of lives over the years.
And it's a premier program. I mean, there's other counties looking at it, and again, from the medical field, and I've heard this before, and it's our, our EMS system, the way it's set up is.
Well, it's only gonna it's gotta adapt just like anything else. You don't have the volunteers. So you're gonna have to think about it, think outside the box in order for it to work. So obviously if you have a very strong platform.
Thankfully, PJ was thinking outside the box many years. Yeah.
And I still am.
We still-
And I still get the same pushback.
Finally got a different outlook on AI with your presentation.
Yeah, it's the way.
It's too good.
Yeah.
The good of it anyway.
There's actually 911 systems that are using AI to actually answer and process the 911 calls. I can't imagine that.
It's like 911 Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good show.
Yeah, it is.
You know, Bubba made reference to Kevin working underneath Rob, and again, he doesn't like this, but years ago, we used to have a Hallmark store and we had a T-shirt that we sold that said, you know, do you want to talk to the boss or you want to talk to the person that really knows?
That's it.
Yeah, so.
Kevin, you gotta stop bragging.
Kevin, is there a requirement on staffing from the state, or how does that staffing work for you?
Two, the minimum requirement is two.
It's a minimum right now, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that
That's
based
a
on
state
call
standard.
volume or?
No.
No?
That's a state standard too. You obviously then have to adapt your staffing for your own system, for your call volume and whatnot, but the state says if you're an agency that's answering 911 calls, you can't do it any fewer than two. And that gets challenging.
Mhm.
It's fine for our night shift, but during the day, it's tough for two people. But like every other agency, we're dealing with staffing.
Is it you can't get staffing?
Yeah, we're lucky. We've got 3 in training right now, so, but
Yeah.
it's just the new generation. When I say, oh, I have to work holidays? 12 hours seems like a long time to work.
No, I'm currently doing a study on population. Actually, population in Columbia County is starting to drop a little bit in some areas, some of the towns. And you wouldn't think if that's the case when you look at Hudson and see all the city people, you know, in Hudson, but the actual residency population is slowly decreasing.
It was projected to be in the high 50s before COVID. COVID gave it a push, so it was up around 61,000 for the last 2020 census. But it's projected to go down a little bit more. But the city's been going down. I remember when it was 8,000.
Right.
I lived in the city.
Right.
Now it's in the sixes.
I think it's in the sixes right now. Yeah, I looked it up. It's in the sixes right now.
Schools too, schools, enrollments.
There's no kids.
Yeah. The thing is, this was projected, the county did a study 30 years ago. In the 90s, early 90s or whatever. I remember they hired a firm and they did a study and they projected all this and said, because nobody wants industry. And, you know, they basically said you're gonna be a second home and bedroom community. Because the county was trying to figure out where to put the money, and which way to go. And the firm, and I was at the public safety or league committee meeting when they presented it, and it was, they said, basically you want to go the same way as Berkshire County, you know, the arts, you know, all that stuff.
They said that's the way you want to go, or that's the way.
That's the way the county would probably be most successful. Because nobody, you know, they knew from what their research that people were not gonna be big on industry coming into the county, and that the schools, the enrollment for the schools was gonna go down. They took into effect that young people weren't gonna be able to, you know, afford all that. And it's happened.
Oh, yeah, they're down, some of them are down big.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Go around table. Start with you. Is there anything?
Our hazard mitigation plan is 100% now, all the municipalities in the county. We did a 5-year update and every municipality in the county now has adopted it. The last one just did it about a week and a half ago, which is good. The cold weather has played havoc on the water systems in the county, the few that we have, and thank you again. I gotta tell you, the county DPW and highway are as important to emergency responses for a lot of different things as any other agency. And we're very fortunate to have the people that we have there. They had to assist Chatham, had a situation where they had a water main break that stopped service to a senior living home, but it was a different type of senior living home. It's one where everybody is elderly and they depend on their meals and their water and everything, their hygiene, their laundry, everything they depend on this home for. And there was 18 to 20 residents, and we went through New York State. They gave us a water buffalo for potable water to help out with bringing them back. Initially, they had to be evacuated, and 4 of them, I think, went to hotels, which is not a good situation when they're elderly. This isn't just a 55 and older thing. So anyway, everybody working together. They provided a driver to go to Gilderland to pick up, and then they had to take it someplace else, had it sanitized, and have the right water put in, brought it down, and very fortunate. Other than that, you're right, it's been last year was a nice year. So I'm hoping for another one.
Good thing.
I remember mentioning that in one of these meetings and then cringing as soon as it came out of my mouth. I lucked out. Nothing happened.
I think you covered everything.
I think I said enough.
Yeah. TJ.
The EMS system that Kevin just referenced, we're going through, every 2 years, we have to go through a renewal process with the state. So we're in the process of doing that now. That requires new contracts with the agencies. And every year we try to beef it up a little bit. And this new contract we've added some performance guarantees in the contract. And so every time we beef it up a little bit, and there's another addendum that we're adding in, it's called quality assurance. So that there'll be a countywide committee on assessing the clinical care that's given to the patients. So that's a good thing. And it goes right down to the wire. It comes up April 1st, but Kevin, another one of his functions, he certainly assists with that application.
That's a couple more.
I know.
I remember quality assurance when I worked at the hospital. It's an old buzzword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What do you have for us?
Last week I was in Syracuse at the Emergency Managers Conference, and Brock Long, who was a former FEMA director back in 2017 for Trump 1, gave a real good discussion and overview of what he saw going on with FEMA now compared to what it was and how it may or probably will change in the future. But it was a frank discussion that, FEMA can't continue on the way it was. And so we don't know what's going to be happening, but he gave his own views on things and discussions with Trump at the time, and how we saw things in the future. And so it's still up to
The federal pass-through grants, a lot of things are not going to happen anymore. We think actually Dish's leadership, OEM leadership came down and met with us. The director is originally from Germantown, and so we kept our county for last. We went around, just going around and meeting every county, and one of the things they discussed was the pass-through grants from FEMA are probably not going to happen the way they have been at the very least, and probably not going to happen at all. But
and declarations definitely are going to be more difficult to get now. And then if you do, the money may not be behind it from rebuilding and things like that. It's up for debate now.
Thank you.
Not a whole lot. We talked briefly before the meeting about salt, and our inability to get it. Right now, we're critically low in all 5 of our outposts. Earlier in the month, we switched our protocols to use mostly sand during these storms, and then when we're cleaning up, we're doing like a 50-50 mix. But we just ordered the last of our sand today, budget-wise. So once we get that, if we keep this little break that we're having, we should be all right. But just you can see the difference from. I mean, we never used to use straight salt on our county roads. If you guys remember, for years it was always sand. We would clean up with half and half mix. When we switched to the computer standards, we started using salt because it was more effective and we could limit it and kind of control it. But for the rest of this winter, our salt usage is going to be pretty low because we still have to reserve enough salt and money for salt for November, December of this year. So We'll see where it goes. It will put us behind going into the following season, because usually we'll stock up in December, fill all our salt barns, and get us into the New Year's budget, but we're gonna be behind no matter what. So, well, the only, I guess it's not a bright side, but the only bright side is everybody's in the same boat, so,
Is that what you're hearing? Are you hearing that from the
Yeah.
towns and?
yeah. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Chris had told me this morning, he got a call from Appalachia, because that's who's got our salt contract through OGS. They said the ship wouldn't be here for the barge wouldn't be here for another 1 to 2 weeks. And it'd be at least 2 weeks before we get, and once that comes, they're gonna kind of give some to this, because everybody's back ordered on it, so there's no guarantee what we're even gonna get from our.
Now, do you have a choice or is it only one supplier?
So OGS tells us what supplier we have
Oh, okay.
for our region.
So they have different ones that have the
Yeah.
contract, then they tell you.
Yeah. And they're calling out of Carver, I think.
I'm kind of updated on that. Carver did receive 2 ships yesterday.
Yeah.
And they called all the people back to offload them, but, I mean, 2 ships for all the salt that's needed is, in the salt shaker.
Right.
As far as.
And I think that's from the last orders, those ships,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. Yeah, and then the other issue was trucking, because then they gotta truck it.
Yeah.
So everybody's waiting for their salt, and these trucks line up, so. So that's kind of it on my end. It's all snow and ice for us this year, so it's all we focus on. And what else? Oh, you need-
I don't really have much. I went to a couple trainings and it's gonna lead to some plan updates. Actually, went to went with a couple state police representatives down in Dutchess County and realized there's a lot of things that we need to consider when it comes to some mass casualty, mass fatality stuff. So that's pretty much it. It's just my slow time of year. So unlike other people.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is there kind of third corner?
Yeah, they appointed Pete Doty.
All right.
He's the director or whatever his title is of Copic Rescue. So I talked to him after the EMS advisory board meeting. He actually got pretty busy pretty quick. So I'm getting thrown right into it.
Yeah.
It's busy.
Yeah.
Hard time.
And now I just heard Donahue bought
So
another,
Frank's up in
Yeah.
so
Mike Mazzel's.
yeah, hopefully we still got time for it all. Yeah.
It's been in the works for a while.
Yeah. So,
Mike's gonna stay up managing it, so.
Oh, yes.
is it? Okay, I didn't know that. I just heard
He had it
sold
on
the
Facebook.
business and.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother-in-law works for him kind of part-time, so he's kind of my source of information there, but
Yeah, Mike had a post on Facebook.
yeah,
So,
that's good.
so he didn't say that. So,
Okay, congratulations on your mitigation plan. I know it takes a lot of time and energy and coordination and communication and collaboration, and it's a challenge. So congratulations, great job. And I'd like to officially announce my new boss, Justin Worth. He came down from headquarters and he'll be in charge of Eastern Hudson Valley Zone going forward.
Nice to meet everybody. Yeah, so a little bit about me. I started with dishes in the planning section. Was there for about a year, over a year and a half-ish. Went to headquarters logistics, worked with the stockpile program, worked with all the state liaisons and transportation agencies to just pretty much send stuff out of our stockpiles during emergencies, stage stuff during emergencies. So most of my background comes from planning and logistics. But yeah, so I know they mentioned the salt crisis, if you will. So we're going to be working on that a little bit now. Trying to gather some data for OGS. Working through each of the counties. There's a ton of municipalities and school districts and universities, colleges that have these contracts with OGS. So basically the ask for us on our end was to gather the data, which municipality, what's your current inventory? What do you expect to need for the rest of this current winter season? Stuff like that, so that when they do get the shipments, it can kind of be prioritized, what's going to be distributed where. So we'll be working on that a little bit this week.
Tony, get in.
You need it.
Inspiration.
Anything else?
That's it.
How's the federal, right now, the Homeland Security affecting the state, anything? I heard something, but I'm not sure.
The total,
Federal funding, is it, or something?
so luckily here in New York State, we're mostly some of us are funded with federal grants, our jobs, but a lot of it is funded through the state, for emergency management, which is good for us. There's talks of responsibilities of our office, kind of the demand going up with the federal, with FEMA kind of, lessening what they do within the states during steady state emergencies, so on and so forth. So our workload might be increasing based off of that, but for the most part, that's kind of it.
And we're lucky too, because Nadine has always done a good job. She lives in northern Dutchess County, and Justin lives in, Omar just moved back with his family, and he grew up in Greene County, and he's back in Greene County.
Yeah, I'm right across the river, so I'm nearby.
We had two people that are really familiar with the area, and very good. Nadine's always been very good to work with, and Justin has been good to work with since he's been here, so.
And you also still have Gary. I'm sorry.
Gary's
Yeah.
well, we have a lot of, not to take up a lot of time, but we have Gary Tudhill, who moved up a level. He lives in our county. We have Michael Madison, who's the emergency manager for Ulster County, lives in our county. We have the director of emergency management for Westchester County that has a part-time residence in Copake Lake that lives, part-time in our county. So we have something major that goes on. We're going to be calling in all the everybody.
You got your own little incident management team.
Okay, thank you.
We're still coming out with our plan. Our maintenance is continuing. That's an ongoing, process throughout the year. So that's not affected by the rate case. We're working on our vegetation plan, prioritizing what needs to get done. Right now, we're in Washington County, and I think we'll probably work our way down to Rensselaer and Columbia County as needed. Once we have a better idea of, springtime and anyway. So other than that, no major projects that I'm aware of, as far as nothing new that I'm aware of.
What about the, what do you call them, the storm lines, the heavier lines? I'm a nicer customer.
The tree
like that.
lines, you mean?
The heavier lines, yeah, that we're gonna be installed for how many miles,
For the Curryville
They're
circuits?
heavier, I'm not sure, but they're heavier.
think that
I
was-
got it as a customer. They're heavier lines
Yeah.
that won't come down if a tree falls on them.
Correct. Yeah, they're impacted because they're insulated.
Are we
Yeah,
getting those in our county? Or-
I don't know. That's something that I can certainly check on and then report for next time, and we'll have a better idea. We're trying to firm up what's essential now and what we can do and what our contractors can do in the amount of time here that we've got left on the current rate case. So, any major projects, I don't know of any major projects that are like a rebuild or upgrade of lines as far as voltage lines. Those are not planned that I'm aware of. So normally those take a couple of years of planning before I'm made aware of.
Oh, that's
them.
good
So,
too, because this, I got that notice probably earlier, 2025.
right. But, again, if we're replacing the same voltage line with just tree lines, that's more of, it's a project, but it's more of a maintenance project more than an upgrade project. So right now, the upgrade project that we do have going on is at the Chatham Hilltop switching station, which is right up from Kleinkill, right in the village of Chatham. So, and all we're doing there is, it's more of a maintenance. We're just changing out, let's see, 1960s to 2020, so 60-something-year-old equipment. We're getting rid of that because it's reached its end of life, and we're replacing it with newer breakers, all new electronics as far as automation, which right now it's very menial automation that they have there. But the new automation will allow for our energy control center to do automatic switching. It's a game changer. So, and the reliability will be better. Safety is much better, because the old equipment had, you know, the inside workings of the breakers were, I think, mineral oil that were in it. The new platform, or the way the new breakers are made is made with an inert gas inside. So it's a different type of technology. So that's about 60% done. And that will be probably finishing up by the beginning or middle of April. So that's about the only kind of real project that we've had going on, and that's village due to complaints from the customers that are in the area. They were afraid we're putting transformers in, and that's a switching station. You don't have transformers in switching stations. So, they have voltage transformers, but you don't have the big giant transformers. It's not the same equipment. And they don't understand that. And all the village wanted, all they needed to do is just needed to go to them to get permission to extend the fence then. So.
And so what if we did have to put transformers in there?
Well, talk to the people in the area. The two customers that are adjacent to our property have no problem with it. It's the others that are in the area that one just built a house or just bought the house 18 months ago and is a lawyer from Long Island. I'll let you guys discuss it later. So, yeah, that's, once I have more information as far as what our plans are for, I'll let you know. So.
Thank you.
I don't have any dates. I'm not really involved in it at all. But our Chatham barrack, I don't think is opening this month, but from what I understand, it will be open in March. Don't have a date, but, by the next meeting, it will be open.
Where is it located?
Right on 295.
Right by the Chatham Town
Town
Hall.
hall,
Yeah, it's nice.
It's bigger than the town hall.
Outside, yeah.
That's for sure.
Okay. Everything's good on the roads and everything, yeah? Safe?
Yeah, that's stuff, yeah, business as usual.
All right, I skipped over new business because we went into our reports, but does anybody have any new business that they want to bring up to the committee? Otherwise, we'll, number 7. All right. I guess at this point, I'll ask for an adjournment. It
I'll
looks
make a
like we're
motion.
just about 1 hour.
Good to her.
I need a second. Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Good meeting. Thank you for coming.
Meeting to order, please. February 17th, 2026. Fire coordinator first.
How's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, 3. First one is to appoint the following firefighters to the all-volunteer county fast team.
Hold on, I don't have that one first. Let's see, I'm going.
That was the one
That messed up. There you go.
There you go.
Sorry.
First one is Gary Grimes Jr. of Stuyvesant, Connor O'Neill, and Michael Adam Bidman, of Hudson.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
What do you got next?
Whatever
Right,
you-
the resolution also had Kara Gay on it. Did
Yeah,
that change?
all, nope, they're all on here. There's.
Okay.
He just didn't
Yeah,
finish, but.
Yeah, we
moved One of those moved second.
This one is to accept the following list of equipment donated by the Hudson Fire Department for the use in support of the training programs at the PJ Keeler training.
Move in. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
And the last one is to waive the facility use fees for the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce.
Move it.
and-
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emergency management.
I don't really have much, our report and also, our hazard mitigation, plan is at 100%. A little bit close on that. Thank you all the supervisors for the work and, you know, that's been a long haul, never easy and, it's worth it because if you ever do have to apply for grant funding, then, you're able to do that. Also, we had a major winter storm and, I know that we got a full, like 26 inches where I live in Spencertown. And the chairman did a, declaration of a state of emergency for travel ban, which some other counties did also, which was a very good idea because, you know, when it was the heaviest, you know, the only thing that we saw out there for the most part were sheriff's patrols and state police patrols and highway crews and, you know, local police and EMS and whatever. So that worked out really well. Luckily it was light and fluffy, so we had very few, power outages, you know, which was really good. So, other than that, if you have any questions?
You also at LEPC, you thanked
Oh, we had Ellie.
Highway. You thanked Highway.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sure, that's it,
Thank
yeah.
you very much. I have to say this, and I don't know if any of you are on the committee that Highway reports to, DPW and that. They are so important. When, this cold weather especially, has wreaked havoc on the water systems for some of the municipalities in the county. One in particular was Chatham, where a senior living facility had to be evacuated because it had no water. Well, they fixed it. They couldn't find it. It was hard. 1,800 pipes. The year 1,800. Yeah, it was one of the sections that was left that was really old. And anyway, Chatham was straight out with all their people doing that. We had to get a water buffalo from the state with potable water, and County Highway said, we'll go up and get it. You know, it needed a good driver. We thought a Class A in the beginning, but it didn't turn out to be Class A. And whenever we call them in these situations, or we have to get a road cleared that isn't cleared yet for the power company to get in to address something or whatever, you call Chris DeCraft or Tony DeMarco, and they're always willing to help. And I can't say enough, they're as important as any other agency when you need them in those situations. Doesn't matter. So,
It's interesting, you know, we were out I had to be out to open our warming center. The only roads that were plowed came were the county roads. The state hadn't gotten out yet, and the town hadn't gotten out, but we were out first.
yeah, it was weird how everybody had different versions of how they were gonna do that. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, because it was different all over. I've heard that a couple times.
State was really late on this storm.
Yeah, yeah, they held out a long time, so.
ING was not pretty.
So the question, so we did pretty good with the snowstorms. I mean, when we were growing up as kids, we know we had snow.
Yeah.
We worked with it. The ice storm is what bothers me. The one that we had that was real bad, and I see what they got down to the south of us.
Yeah,
And they're still predicting now, the next couple of weeks, possible ice around this area.
yeah.
You know how we're set with the power lines and all that stuff? I know they've trimmed a lot of them. I mean, they're in
So-
good shape.
The power companies are required, we deal with 3 of them in our county. And the power companies are required to meet with us twice a year, once in person, once virtually now. The Public Service Commission makes them do that. We have very good relationships with them, with our representatives. Melanie Putnam is one of them for NYSEG. She's very good. She's been around for a long time. She was at our LEPC meeting. today, and, you know, they're always maintaining the lines. Now, the ice that we're supposed to get Wednesday evening and possibly Friday isn't supposed to be a lot.
Right, no,
So the lines can handle that. It's the trees that come down. They've been doing a lot more trimming. They've had contractors doing a lot more trimming. All of them have. But, you know, we were lucky last year in 2025, and even she said that was a year where there wasn't a lot of storms, and the storm damage was minimal. There was some, but it was minimal in Columbia County. And the power outages, when we had them, they weren't extended, and let's hope that continues. But NYSEG has a program where they're going to be replacing some of the lines in the worst areas. The tree line, they call it, it's a heavier line that even a certain size tree could fall on and it won't bring it down. That's something that they're doing, and parts of Columbia County, I guess, are the worst parts, probably the 22 corridor, you know, which loses power a lot. But you know, the main thing is during those power outages is be ready to open a warming center, which many counties and municipalities already have. I know where that's going to happen, and you know, and we just deal with it as it comes.
I got another question. So back, and I've asked you this before. So we're dealing with the Churchtown Firehouse.
Yeah.
That is now no longer a fire company theoretically, but we won't go into that detail. The detail that I find now is they are now a Red Cross. They have finalized everything to be a Red Cross center.
Yes.
Is that better than a warming center, I would say? So how does that activate in an emergency?
So Columbia County has a formal agreement with the Red Cross to do our shelter. So if we need them to open a shelter, that means overnight accommodations for a certain number of people. We make the request.
Okay.
The municipality can call them directly, but they'll call us, you know, to verify. And they've issued us a trailer with 100 cots, which we have over at our facility.
Oh, okay.
We've already used it once last year to set up a small shelter in Chatham, and in Stockport they had a apartment building. Nobody came to it. Really, nobody wants to stay in that if they don't have to. But it was ready. You know, during the whole episode, most of the families were able to find friends or family to stay with. So, but it was open and ready if they needed. The Churchtown, they're designated. There's training that their people had to go through, and they had to fix the bathrooms, which they've done.
Yep.
So now, if we need to call on them to be a shelter, we can do that. Now they can open as a warming center, which they did. They reached out to us and said, why haven't you asked us to do it? We don't ask to do it. We say, listen, if you do it, let us know. We'll support you however we can. We'll let the state know you're doing it. We'll let we'll keep a list on our Facebook page. But unless there's a state of emergency or something like that, it's up to the municipality or the organizations. There's some organizations that just do it.
Okay. Is that the only one in the county?
Oh,
no. Got a bunch. So you got a list of them.
Yeah. I think we had 18.
Okay.
Yeah, every school is Red Cross.
Okay.
You know, because they have to be ADA compliant.
Mhm.
And we have some of the firehouses. They don't like doing firehouses as much anymore. Firehouses are great and they're good for warming centers, but if they only have a truck bay for a shelter, and you know they're busy handling the situation, and they got firefighters coming in and out. You know, they've been kicked out of firehouses with due cause.
Right. You need the firemen to do their job.
So they're kind of moving away from that if they can, but you have some like Chatham and Taconic have still retained their Red Cross certification. But we have a number of shelters that we can open if need be. You know, people don't like to go to shelters if they don't have to, and even warming centers. We found that there really hasn't been much participation in warming centers. Yeah, you market it, but you put out there that you can charge your device there too, and that seems to bring more people than actually worried about warming up. But they're good to have, and
Well, I think especially if the power went out, that's when.
Oh,
you start
yeah,
seeing
the
it.
power
It changes
goes
the
out for
whole
extended
scenario.
period.
For
As long as
days,
everybody
yeah.
got power, we're good to go.
As long as they can charge their phone.
Yeah. So it's going watch TV.
Go sit in your car and charge your phone.
Yeah, charge your device.
Oh, yeah.
And that keeps you connected, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I didn't want you to get off an easy thing. Just.
No, that's all right. No, you're always good for
I
a
know.
question, Supervisor.
Well, thank you. Sheriff.
I learned a lot in the LEPC meeting, you know, with stuff of services and stuff, like the recording will be on, within a week or two.
The 911 presentation.
The 911 presentation was great. I was gonna ask Kevin to come give that here.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize what 911 does, like how many people and
Our 911 side very advanced.
it's amazing.
I actually want to echo the sentiments of thanking you for the emergency declaration. It really saved us a whole lot of grief, and people really heeded the warning and stayed off the road, so it was awesome. So thank you for that. Thank you. First up, EEPs. I'm gonna hold stack. I wrote it's to enter into, is that the first one? Yeah. To enter into agreements with almost all towns. We have Anchor, Austerlitz, Canaan, Chatham, Copiague, Gallatin, Germantown, Ghent, Hillsdale, Kinderhook, Livingston, New Lebanon, Stuyvesant, and Relation for enhanced patrols.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
Alright, the second is to enter into an agreement with the schools for school resource deputies at $60,000 per year.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
And the third is an EEP of sorts. It's an enhanced patrol for the Chatham Synagogue and Shabbat of Columbia County, and that rate is varied based on who accepts the assignment, the overtime rate, and they will also reimburse for mileage.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. And then the next is an agreement for the town of Hillsdale to maintain the substation there with a very small increase in what we pay. So it equals out to $538 a month, utilities included.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. And then lastly is to surplus a 2014 Chevy Impala that is no longer useful or necessary.
All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
We can enter it into the Columbia County Fair.
Any questions? Oh, you still have the inmate report?
Oh, yep, county maintenance report. Sorry about that. I
All
wrote
right.
from my notes here. We currently have 32 people. 3 are Franklin County inmates, 5 are Greene County, 1 is a parole. Rest of ours and year to date, $10,500. Previously, previous year was 16, so about 15,500 shy of where we were last year this time.
Been about 500,000.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Yeah, so there've been some conversations about, orders from other counties, coming in and mostly because they don't have to pick on each other.
Any questions for the sheriff?
Question.
Yes, sir.
So do you feel that the inmate population has lowered
Oh,
around the
absolutely.
area?
Yeah.
Just because of the way the courts are handling everything? and
Yeah,
stuff like that?
Yeah, reform. Most of the people are out before we finish the paperwork. And, you know, and I've spoken on this at many, town meetings and different things we've gone to. It can be a deterrent for, recruitment, and the people who suffer are the people who lose property and valuables because they don't get reimbursed for it. And then those people who come on the street. So, they're really, I truly believe just should be granted some more autonomy to,
I agree with
yeah, you know.
It used to be,
defenders.
I mean, and the other issue is you have domestic violence, things that happen during the night. People are released, and it's a safety issue. It's really bad.
I spoke to that at a domestic violence, seminar up in Albany, and the person who's appointed by the governor
And, you know, I said, listen, I'm really not trying to be combative here, but in these cases, when you get someone who is at a point where they are strong enough to leave that environment, that's when they're most at risk for being injured or killed. And so if the abuser is out on the street, we're not doing them any favors. So, you know, most will stay in that scenario rather than risk being hurt or killed. So
So I just learned today that the, your Association of Towns is going to build its legislative agenda for 2027 in August and September of 26. So if we want to get these issues in front of them for lobbying, the time to talk about it is in July, so that we can send the material August and September.
I mean, I couldn't agree more, but I will say everybody's been lobbying for this. I mean, you know, it originally started out, I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this, when it was drug cases, unlawful possessions of marijuana, where they didn't want people sitting in jail. And honestly, even unlawful possession of marijuana, you don't go to jail anyway.
Right.
So it just went too far. And for me, and I know that's because I did it, it's a safety issue, as you just said.
yeah, 7th degree possession of a narcotic substance is not even prosecuted
It's insane.
anymore. And I think the key is downstate, and I know a couple judges have reached out to downstate legislators who are, some of who are on board, and we're hoping to gain some momentum with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Rectify some of it. You're welcome.
No. So that.
Well, we got, we're good where we want to go.
Well, he's wound up. He's wound up tonight.
I had to drive in, I was.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing, just let you know, we had the same thing about courts, where I was complaining about it, because somebody got caught for 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you get a parking on the pavement and walk out the door, and I'm thinking to myself, so when they hit somebody at 90 miles an hour, you know what's gonna happen. And yet we're just letting them walk out and say, by the way, so they haven't learned anything. And you can see it driving to Albany all the time, how fast they go by you when you're doing 75, and you're doing 10 miles over speed, and they're just zipping by. So
The judge doesn't have to accept that.
well, I know that, but that's what I'm asking. How do you enforce that? Because the judge has to call it, right?
Similarly, for incarcerated individuals whose rights are increasingly padded, I would say, where seemingly they have more rights than the people who work there, protect them, and the people who do the job to make sure that that they are placed there. And it's really, it's disheartening. It doesn't. And what's the deterrent if you're in Club Med?
Yeah.
You know, if you go back, some people only respond to consequences. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's it. I don't want to hold you up anymore.
Anything
I
else?
wasn't
I don't
moving.
want to get hollered at.
You're sure? Wait till next month.
You sure? You're good? For now.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
18B coordinator position. Whereas, authorization to create and fill one 18B coordinator position, just to give everybody a little bit of background. This was part of the ILS program where they wanted us to create its own 18B program. 18Bs, if you're not sure what they are attorneys that will be utilized for defense work after the public defender and after conflict defender. If all of those two departments conflict out, then the judges would normally appoint somebody as an attorney to please, would you handle this case? We're going to have a formal program. We had a committee. Richard Wolf was on it. Dave Helsley was on it. I was on it, and we interviewed several different individuals, and we unanimously agreed that this individual would be the right person for this position. So that's what this is. So I'm not sure if there's any other questions on that.
I just wanted, and it's 100% funded.
Yeah.
By the state of New York.
Yeah. So
Moving. Second.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. I also want to compliment the committee that worked in its interview process. We worked really well together, and I thought it was a good process. So thank you. I think questions for that's it, right?
LEPC's not here.
So questions for the.
Come on. Oh, boy. I get hollered at.
Any questions from the public? Kippy, any questions?
No.
Last chance.
on, so watch yourself.
Motion to adjourn?
Wait till next
Well,
month.
no.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, hello all, let's call the 2/17/26 Health and Human Services Committee meeting to order, please. First up, we're gonna have a presentation from Danny Messing from Healy Homes.
Great.
10 minutes on,
All right.
5 minutes Q&A.
All
There
right.
you go. I know.
Yeah, I always remember about 50 seconds.
Runs a tight ship, I'll tell you.
That's it.
All right, great. All right, I'm gonna read from the script, so.
Okay.
All right, sorry, a little nervous.
Don't be nervous.
All right, so Healy Homes delivers what Columbia County needs. This is a 26-unit SRO project on Healy Boulevard in the town of Greenport. Privately funded, no pilot requested. Healy Homes will save taxpayers money by reducing client transportation expenses. We've done the work. After a rigorous 15-month review, the Greenport Planning Board granted conditional approval. My team, Andy Howard and Paul McCreary, are local professionals with deep municipal experience and a sterling reputation who satisfied every requirement the board put forward. The location is strategic, not accidental. The site sits on the Columbia County Public Transportation Route, within walking distance of medical services, safety net providers, job training, and employment opportunity. The need is urgent and documented. Columbia County currently lacks sufficient in-county rooms to serve our homeless population. Right now, we're shipping our most vulnerable residents elsewhere at significant cost and with poor outcomes. The support is real and local. Organizations doing the daily heavy lifting have committed letters of support. Local residents, local taxpayers, local voters. This includes Bill Fisher, Columbia County Fair Housing Officer, Dominique Morente, Independent Living of the Hudson Valley, and Tina Sharp, Executive Director, Columbia Opportunities. These individuals are your neighbors who understand what our community needs. We're ready to formalize a partnership with St. Catherine's, an organization your DSS colleagues have already vetted, an organization that's been generous with support, input, and availability throughout the entire process. Bottom line, a privately funded solution to a public problem, local jobs during construction, reduced county transportation costs, vulnerable residents served in their home county, and a development team that's already earned planning board approval through a transparent, thorough process. I look forward to working with the county to solve this public need.
Thank you.
There's
Thank you.
letters of, I made copies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
From St. Catherine.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions?
So yeah, my question is, what can we do for you here? I understand you're before the Greenport Planning Board right now.
Yeah.
Is there a task before us?
What's that?
Is there a task before us?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would love for you to give DSS permission to engage in a contract with me and St. Catherine so that we could house these homeless individuals.
And what's your expectation of having this in service?
So it's ready to go. I can start immediately once I get the approvals.
Okay.
And, in the contract, basically. I can't build it if I can't.
Oh, so you need a contract before you can build?
Well, I mean, they happen simultaneously.
Right. I had a question.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all, I guess you're saying that you have a project that you'd like to build, but you can't build it unless you had a contract with.
Right, there's no point building for homeless housing.
And I would
if
think that the
can't
county
house
would
homeless.
say, if it was there, we would contract with you.
Right, exactly. So, right, and I don't want to build it if chicken and egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build it and we will come.
Yeah.
Right.
So my question is in line with that, like the contract between the county and this project, has that been discussed and what the obligation of the county would be and how this works? And it's a great project. I fully support it. I'm just curious as to what the county's obligation would be or how we would be connected to this, or tied to this or liable for this. I'm just curious what the thought process behind this.
No, I
I mean, it's not, we don't own it, right? You own it, you're a private entity.
Right.
We have a need, obviously.
I would say
we want
build it, get it operating and then.
Right, but I mean, what is how does that gonna work? Are there escalation clauses? I mean, I don't know if any of this yet.
So as I understand it, Mr. Messing, please, this is my understanding of it, because Mr. Messing had met with several of us was looking into conditions on the ground, so we got to understand the housing need from a permanent, from an emergency, from disabled. I think took a holistic view, and your thought was, well, I'm gonna start with a project very similar to the Galvin Civic Motel that is out here in Greenport, which we had provided a lot of information about. And the nature of that relationship was, Galvin had reached out, done much of the same footwork about 10 years ago now, and said, well, what are your needs? And, oh, if it's emergency, how do you need emergency? And at the time, there was nothing and there was no shelter. So I can remember at one meeting just simply putting out there, well, I need hotel rooms, because I didn't even have those at the time. And the next thing I knew, Galvin had drafted something up whereby, well, what if we were to purchase a motel and they would have X number of rooms? Would we be able to enter into some kind of relationship where we'd get favorable set aside? And if we got right of first refusal as a motel, we would give you back 30% we wouldn't give it back to the county. We would apply 30% of the revenues generated towards wraparound services for your client. And you might remember all that, right?
Yeah.
And that went before, we had a few meetings here. I think we were even at the chamber one night talking about it. Long and short is Galvin said, look, we really don't want to raise this building and build it back up if the county's not interested. And I think that's what I'm hearing now. Is the county interested in homeless housing in the same kind of relationship that you have with Galvin?
Right.
Am I hearing that
Spot on.
correctly?
Correct.
Okay, so
I'm assuming that whatever contractual we put together between the county and this organization, that it'll come back in front of this committee, or how,
Yeah.
that's what I guess is my question, because at this point, we don't have anything. Other than we desire to potentially use your services, you'd like to build it, but we haven't worked out any of the details.
We haven't worked out any of the details.
Right, so cost of the rooms and escalation clauses and.
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're all getting eyes on
I just
that,
have
that's all.
conditional approval to build it.
Sure, yeah.
So obviously there's a need.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'd like to get your thoughts on it, Bob, in terms of.
Yeah, so there is a need, and to be perfectly transparent, I have been with Gianni and I have been with John Parsons of Galvin. Look, Galvin was the first of its kind, and it was kind of the county was interested, they were interested in what was going to work, and it was okay. If you're going to also provide all of these services, because we're really trying to help these folks not just stay the night in emergency housing, but there's so much that has to get done, right? They need services, they do need transportation, they need to get built up and employment. That need is still there. I mean, if you look on my stats for just the month of January, I mean, it's still there. Several families are homeless, right? Several individuals are homeless. And Galvin only sets aside the 24 rooms there, right? So that's the one guarantee I have where there's going to be services provided. Actually, it's Galvin, but now it's under the auspices of BARD. I should say that, because that's taking place. But that tells me, and they contract directly with St. Catherine's, and I get reports from St. Catherine's every month. And they're excellent reports on here's who's coming in, here's what we're providing. And I would certainly want that, right? I would certainly want to know, okay, what is your thought on room rate and how much is your set aside going to be? That's just something that was all ironed out before, any contract got signed and put before. So the need is there. Other folks are approaching me with similar ideas. So being trans, and we've talked about that too, which doesn't mean they can't happen as well. Right now, it's true. I'm using 3 hotels out of the county. Would I love to have them all here and clustered and every one of them had services attached to them? I'd also like to go from, 80 individuals down to zero at some point. And I always say that to providers, right? The goal is to put this out of business, whether that's likely, whether it's not, I don't know, but that's the goal. So as long as the contractor knows and the developer knows that going in, we're almost 10 years on. Galvin's not close to out of business. I'm still housing everywhere. But with that said, and I do like to be open and honest about all that, sure, it's a desire to have something like that. That is better than just trying to find hotel rooms every night. It would be preferable to do that.
And where's the funding from? You said it's private, but like who private, like
Me.
oh you, oh it's you.
So I believe it would be based too on the room night, whatever DSS would pay for room nights. So that's how the Galvin formula is working. So,
Yeah, what I would recommend, is that we sort of take a look at a contract structure just like that, Chairman. And then we just sort of sit as a committee as we did the last time and make sure every party is satisfied with, yeah, that's what we're talking about. And make sure, approvals, because it can't happen without approvals, right? You can't get into a contract and then you can't build it. So, yeah, we just wait for all of the official approvals, and when that's done, we have a template, so we have a place to start from negotiations, and it's pretty simple. You know what we want. And I do know that you did your work before all of this, so you actually had an idea of the vision. So I do appreciate that. And with that said, Chairman, yeah, of course, we're trying to put ourselves out of business someday.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Important out there. Yeah.
So if let's say you had your approvals in 30 or 45 days, when do you think you'd be up and running?
So, sure.
I know I'm not,
Yeah, no, it's a good
I'm
question.
not asking you to be, write this in stone.
Yeah.
What's your estimate?
Sure. So, with the contract, I could get a construction loan. And then I've already talked to builders. I'm using Saratoga Associates as the architect. They've already been retained. I have a developer, but, local guy who's ready to build. He's got the pipeline, and he says 6 months. I think that's optimistic. I think it would probably take a little bit longer, but
6 months to build.
Yeah.
26 years.
Yeah.
But SROs, I thought
That's very aggressive.
I thought so too. I'm using your language. Right, exactly. But I think 12 months is perfect.
That's reasonable.
I think that's reasonable. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think 12 months.
I think everybody here in construction, that's a little, 12 months.
The point I'm trying to make is that everything is lined up.
Where on here?
Sorry?
Where on here?
It's 145. It's right next to the corner plaza. It's John Porto's garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Linda, you have a question?
I just passed the board at the Green Board.
It's up before the planning board, yeah,
When
conditional
are they
approval.
planning on voting on it?
The planning board?
Yeah, I'm just curious what.
It's already before the planning board, and he already has conditional approval.
Okay, I was late, sorry. to
Yes,
hear
okay.
The one piece that.
Can I
Sorry.
follow? Just what is conditional approval mean?
Sure. So the town of Greenport has a wastewater sewer problem. And in fact, it's one of the reasons why it's impeded some bigger developments. In the past, developments like the Falls did the same kind of mitigation efforts that my small project was doing, which is basically a 24-hour wastewater storage tank in the event that there's overflow. So I agreed to do that. We sent the mitigation plan to James Rutsky, and we're waiting for them to agree to allow us to connect before they send it to regional core leadership at DEC.
And then, so it's, I see, and then DEC stamps that. and
Yes.
says, yeah,
And we've reached out to DEC and they're very supportive.
So you own the land?
Not yet.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
You wanted to make sure
All
that
these
you had all of this,
hoops I have to come through.
everything in line.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that it's imperative that we get all of these other things hashed out if this is gonna happen.
So I think that's the next step for sure.
And is there a consent order against the wastewater treatment plant in Greenport?
I don't know what that means.
A consent order means that the town is on notice for, because I just attended a training yesterday in which LaBerge was saying that wastewater treatment remediation and repairs are favored if there is a consent order against the town. And one of the conditions they mentioned was backwash in the event of heavy rain. So you might be able to get some funding, the town might be able to get some funding for not your storage tank per se, but to fix the problem that requires the storage tank. Right. I did tell Mike Tupper about it, so if you want to ask Mike.
Okay. One other quick question I had, and I know you're before the planning board and there's one some details, but is this one building or is it multiple buildings? What's the total square footage of the proposed project?
Yeah, it's pretty small. It's one building. It's about 10,000 square feet.
Okay. That's all housed in one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's gonna have laundry, a communal kitchen, an office, closet, stuff like that.
Really pretty small units, but that's what you need, yeah.
Okay, it's transitional. It's not permanent.
No, just in the layout of it.
Studio apartments, yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I have one. Is there a manager full-time on that? I'm sorry I was late to the meeting.
That's okay, Linda, go ahead.
Check.
Yeah, so the idea is that St. Catherine's that's currently working with DSS, the people are gonna be vetted through DSS. And St. Catherine's is going to be the caseworkers. And they will be on site, roughly 15 hours a day, maybe like from 7 in the morning till 10 PM at night, 11 PM at night. And they'll be handling the day-to-day.
Not 24 hours.
It's not 24 hours, but until maybe about 11 PM at night, from 7 to 11 PM. So now others, yeah.
And just one clarification, if someone said like a studio apartment, would these have kitchen facilities? Because the studio does, and I don't think these do.
So they will come with microwaves, they will come with refrigerators, but they won't have, we proposed to the planning board to provide hot plates. They were against it, so we just nixed that. But we thought that microwaves and refrigerators were important, and then it will be a kitchen, a communal kitchen with burners and a larger refrigerator. Yeah, I think.
So this is definitely more temporary housing than.
Oh, yeah,
This is like,
It is temporary.
yeah.
Trying to replace our motel rooms, basically.
Is there a common room or a workspace need?
There wasn't, it's pretty small.
Yeah, it's on a small footprint.
It's on the phone, yeah, it was, yeah.
But there's an office to work.
Yeah, there's an office. There's an office inside. I actually rented space at Corner Plaza for additional space.
Oh, okay.
So, but everything got pushed back. So they were amenable to giving us more space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank
You
you
as
so
well.
much.
Thank you. So next up I have Mr. Gibson, Commissioner Gibson. Save all these for you? Yeah, just leave them on.
You can do both.
Either
one. And if I want your vote.
Good afternoon.
Hi there.
So, first request this afternoon is to fill 3 caseworker positions.
Move it.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Second request is to fill 2 social welfare examiner positions.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
And the third is a request to fill 2 community services aide positions.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So
And
carried.
the fourth is a request to fill 2 senior caseworker positions.
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I just want to note that these have all gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah. should have said that. Request to fill one senior social welfare examiner position.
Move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And so carried. Where's everybody going?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
I'm like,
I'm like, okay,
that was my question.
yeah.
And as you can see, number 6, I contract with a former employee who now comes back and does the work as a consultant at an hourly rate, and I would like to re-up that so that I might stay above water. She's down in income maintenance, doing what a social welfare examiner does full-time. She does for us part-time under this contract.
Second, all in favor? Opposed? Any discussion on this? Okay. So moved.
Well, you know, some of these folks, they go on up to the state. Some of my colleagues steal my folks.
I knew that was coming. I just
Sorry.
felt it.
There you
You
go.
just felt it.
His thumb went right to you.
No, it's,
You knew right where to throw that. You got a couple too?
If I could, I just want to say that point when we talked to Bob about, they do, exit interviews. And so we asked for about a year's worth of exit interviews so we can get an idea of why these people are leaving and if there's anything we can do to prevent it.
yeah, that's right. And that is actually coming along. We met on that Friday. We're gonna compare those with HR and they do exit interviews. I pulled a number of things because I'm looking into it, so I'm trying to get some like positions at the state or close classification, so I can take a look at those and we'll put something together and see if
But
there's.
then again, I know people that have left you, going to the state and come back 3 months later, you know, and they're back, so. You know.
I like
No, it's not-
Yeah, and that's why I do take a look at, well, what is it that we're doing and what is it that you were looking for and what did you miss? Most people miss the work, the real work that gets done. So that's what I hope for. So, yeah, we'll be working on that and I'll certainly keep the board, I should go, keep the board apprised. I have the January stats up there. I just was on the phone with a member of the press, so I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to see this. As you can see, so homeless went kind of jarted back up with that cold weather that came. It was pretty packed over at the warming center. Those numbers aren't reflected here, but we were in the high 20s over at the warming center when that cold came in, and you can see even these numbers went up compared to where we had been as the year was ending last year. So we're creeping back up to almost 90 on individuals, and we have several families. I'll note that there are families and individuals that are on our list for permanent housing. They're already contributing to their homeless housing because they're working and they're just looking for a permanent place to live. And so we are pleading with landlords everywhere.
So if this project that this gentleman is here for comes to fruition,
that's emergency.
I understand, and we have the wellness sub possibly gonna still.
Then we're gonna, well,
Then I think between the two emergency housing sections, between the wellness center and this would make a huge impact on the county.
Almost half of what we
huge.
average, serve on
I'm
average.
like, almost like we're there, you know?
Because they're right here in the community.
Yeah, right.
You know, yeah, huge. The projects that matter are these proposed projects that I hear about that are supposed to be coming up. One's built over by me on 7th Street, but, you know, I'd like to see some finished projects out there by whoever the developer is, because it's gonna push market rate down. I have to tell you, people earning $2,000 a month can't rent anywhere right now. And so then, you know, the $750, $800 a month, they don't exist. HUD's been closed.
And it doesn't include,
Utility.
Heating costs, utilities, forget it. The utility costs right now are just through the roof.
Yeah, so it's very tough out there.
I have a question. Does the Galvan Civic Motel have a full-time 24-hour person there?
No, so they rely on St. Catherine's till I think 11 o'clock at night. They had started with that and then very early on, had sort of dispensed with that. So no, I don't have anything like that, right? Not even the shelter, which,
And the domestic violence shelter can't staff overnight.
well, they stopped that a few years ago during COVID. So there's nothing right now where there's overnight.
Bob, that, what Linda's talking about, with Galvin leaving, is there any changes to that?
No, so Bard came in and said, look, we're gonna keep this status quo just like this.
Okay.
We're gonna keep that staff in there and, we're committed to this and we'll be committed to the contract. So I was very happy to hear that.
So I just wondered, is there a typo in the homeless numbers? Because it has 30 children on both lines and is it a coincidence or is it really 30 children on both lines? So it would be 60 children that we have. that
It's
are
not
homeless.
60 children.
Right,
It's not,
okay, that's what I
but
thought.
it's 60 children will be meeting.
Okay.
So one more thing, what is the rate that this gentleman's expecting?
Well, I don't know yet. That's part of what, we're not that far down the road.
What are we paying Galvin?
We might be at 105. I'll check that.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's like, what are we,
It's a
if
good
they
question.
build this building and they say they want $160 a night, I don't want to make sure the county's not obligated to that number.
Well, I made clear that
You know what I'm saying, but
I'm not gonna pay that.
I understand,
Yeah.
but I think.
No, it's a
that
great
has to be
question.
worked
Yeah,
out.
I think that's-
You need to know that in advance.
Right.
Yeah, we need to know that
Exactly.
before we sign.
And I tell everybody sort of that in advance that even wants to broach the subject because, we're paying about 105.
Don't forget,
Sometimes 105.
$105 a night is obviously, I'm not saying this because nobody can do math, but say $3,000 a month, right? That's a lot of money for a small room.
400 or 500 square foot.
There's not an apartment that, you get $3,000 a month for, especially a studio apartment. So that number has,
Without even a kitchenette. I mean,
correct, with no kitchen, so that has to be very clearly stated as to.
But yeah, to Bob's point, if we, it's our desire to not be in this, to move out of this where we don't have a need. So if they're building a structure that's totally reliant on our income and then we don't have homeless to put there,
I just
That
make
was,
that,
again,
I just
another
make that
battle.
clear.
right, you were clear about that.
All of a sudden we can't fill it, what's the county's obligation?
Right.
Doesn't happen.
Right, that's all my point.
And there can't, we
Protect
do
the county.
first refusal, right?
Yeah.
And we can do this for a few of these and I
Right.
think it'll be good.
No, I
But
think-
what else would that be used for if the county didn't occupy all the rooms?
Well, I can't
That's up
speak
to them,
for
yeah.
that.
I understand that,
I
yeah.
think that anybody who wants to build,
Maybe that person making $2,000 a month might want to live there. just-
well, SRO sort of speaks of, okay, if homeless ever ran out, these could convert to
For,
small apartments that are permanent. I think that's a better model.
for individuals.
I'm not running the projects, but I
Yeah.
think that's a better model.
And one more question, what are we paying the motels?
So they run the gamut. Some are up at 110, some are down at 95. A lot of them are at 100, 105. So it's it's marketable as far as that goes. It's just the 105 goes right out the window if we're not getting that back. And most of the time, we're not getting that back. That's what bothers me.
Are the hotels cleaning the rooms just as if it was a hotel or not to this population?
They are,
Every day?
they are in the travel lodge. I don't know if it's every day, but it's multiple times a week.
Multiple, some are better.
Yeah.
But it's not a daily.
I gotta
Like it.
really get on a lot of these folks and I gotta tell them to die. If I feel like it's not happening.
I'm just curious.
Yes, that way, that's the one good part about a contract, right? Because now
Yeah, right.
you're saying that right in there and
Mhm.
you're not getting your money.
Right.
If that's not
Yeah,
happening.
well-
But
Hey,
it's interesting from having worked directly with the one in Canaan, most of the families prefer not to have their room cleaned every day.
Well, that's my
Once
point
a
is
week
that the rate should be
better.
less, because you're not paying people to clean the
Maybe,
rooms every
maybe.
day,
Yeah.
doing linens and doing all of that. So that should be factored into all of this as
Yeah.
well.
Even the Hilton I stayed in the last time I traveled,
they even said they're not doing it every day. They're doing it every, you
Check the
know,
box, right.
2 or 3 times a week. They don't do it.
Bob, may I ask a question? Yeah. But let's assume, just for discussion's sake, the rates are the same, the contracted rate is the same to what you're paying a hotel, $100. Isn't it fair to assume that there would be additional savings in the form of, having St. Catherine's there providing that oversight, case management? The fact that the providers that serve these people wouldn't have to travel as far, would have proximity access to them, that they wouldn't have to rely on Medicaid transportation. So there are those factors to consider in terms of the overall equation of this, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's 100%. That's why, instead of having 6 dispersed throughout, if you had 4 or 5 within a perimeter that you're close, and even on the bus line, then you say, now we're getting.
There's a savings there, built-in savings. Okay, thank you.
I think Danny actually mentioned that. He said,
All right, well, thank you, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Except public health. Hi there, how are you?
Hello, how's everybody?
Good, good.
Not as cold as we were last time we were here.
And it's not as noisy, right? It was so noisy in this.
Oh, yeah, that was this morning in the meeting.
Okay, I've got 2 resolution requests for you today. First, asking to transfer funds so that we can contract with 3 engineering firms.
Motion?
I'll move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Thank you very much. And my next is a resolution urging the governor and state legislature to restore funding to the Healthy Neighborhoods program that was excluded from the executive budget.
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any discussion?
Why was it cut?
So the executive office's argument is that it's duplicative because large cities who are some of the other recipients of the Healthy Neighborhoods Fund receive lead poisoning prevention plus funding, which we do not. So they get more funding to do more registries and things and education and things like that. And they classify Healthy Neighborhoods as duplicative of that effort. However, it's much broader than lead poisoning prevention. It is lead poisoning prevention. It's also asthma education, injury prevention, and it's all in home. We have risk assessors who go into the home and educate folks on these kinds of things.
but that difference could be managed in the application process, right?
So there isn't really an application process. It's counties
So
are
it's an
certain.
eligibility.
Yeah. It's not every county. Greene County, for example, is not a recipient, but the qualifiers that are met are automatic recipients.
Then it would be up to those counties to make sure that they didn't duplicate the funding. Okay. So I just wanted to ask a question. What the backlog on the engineering services, how quickly do we think we can address that with the hiring of these outside contractors?
I'm told within a couple of weeks we have 50 plans that are ready for review. In our queue, we have several others in various stages. But I'm told this is a good time of year for these firms. They've got several people they can put on it to get them through quickly, and I'm hopeful that we can do that.
I have a couple questions, and I know we're going in this direction, but if the new regulations are that engineers have to design these new septic systems, correct?
Mhm.
And so you're getting an engineer stamp on a plan. Why do we as a health department have to vigorously go through the stamp plans of an engineer? Is that a regulation? Is that something that the health department feels we should be doing? I'm not saying just say, but we're having 2 engineers basically look at a plan. What is the reason behind that?
So I am not an engineer, but what I'm told is there are varying degrees of quality interpretation. That's a good one too. That there are engineers that cut corners.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've gotten calls from a lot of them. Yes. So there are counties that don't that leave all that work to the code enforcement on the towns, and it's the town's responsibility to say, okay, this is stamped by an engineer, good enough for me. We can discuss that, but I can tell you that the amount of comments that go back and forth, I would have a hard time moving to that model.
Right.
Because obviously the first draft is not good enough.
Yes, and the second question is it possible to get some sort of a sheet to all the code enforcement officers in the county explaining what the process is in the county? Since the rules have changed, you and I have discussed this. And maybe all the building inspectors are up to date. Mine was not, and as a newer building inspector, just understanding what the process is now. And also understanding what records that you may have, especially with STRs right now. That's somewhat confusing.
Sure.
People will, in our town, the new STR regulation is that the individual, if we don't have a record of their septic approval in our file, then they can get it from the county. And my code enforcement officer said, oh, well, they only keep records for so long. And you said, no, we have records going back for. So I'm not sure they all know this. So maybe like a fact sheet, like, the county's doing this, this is all you have to, I don't know, however you want to put that together, but I think it would be helpful.
So I will tell you that, I think that that's true for not just code enforcement, that's true. Our communication on that has not been excellent. So with the changes to our website that we're working on, that has definitely come to top of mind, and we hope to be able to issue better guidance to not just code enforcement, to applicants, to engineers, to everybody of our process.
Yeah, and I
That
think
is a priority.
the code off, especially first, would be very important, because they're the first ones that are getting.
Yes, sure. The other thing, I want to make, is that some of these firms that we have had preliminary meetings with, we've told them that we want part of our agreement for them to train some of our technicians, some of our employees who can do the on the ground, observations and things like that, things that don't need to be done by an engineer. So we're not paying them every time to drive down here and do it. And part of what I'd like done is a little bit better outreach to engineers, code enforcement.
It's only gonna cause you less
That's it.
phone calls and
And-
aggravation and me calling you.
Construction inspection is what you're looking to.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Don't pay an engineer $185 an hour when.
Exactly. Well, they wanted to come pick up the plans. I was like, we can drop them off.
Yeah,
Thank you
we'll
very
bring
much.
them to
Yeah. So we're getting, it's that's definitely on our minds, and we're looking at creative ways to address this.
But if a code enforcement officer calls the environmental division of the health department and says, hey, Mrs. Smith, on such and such a road, do you have any records? They can look that up for them.
They can, but there's a records, search fee for that. There's
Okay,
an
so the
application.
individual can do that.
Yes.
And then they would pay for the
I
search.
think that is the
And
best.
what's the turnaround usually time-wise?
1-2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
We try to get those.
That kind of stuff. would
Yeah.
be helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Sure. What else you got for engineering? I'm well versed. Let's talk sewerage. Okay. So now I have my director's report. If you have any questions, I will just point out we lost another 4 residents to respiratory in January. And if you recall, we had 4 deaths in December as well. So that's 8 in months. So that's again. Everything looks like it's on its way down. However, RSV is hanging in there, getting increasing, no, staying up there. So
Every meeting these days sounds like a TV ward with all the hacking out in the audience. It's just cough, cough, cough.
well, and RSV in particular really hangs on. It really does. That lasting cough is is typical.
Is that for the flu?
With that,
That's respiratory for the flu, or is that?
it's a combination of flu, RSV, and COVID are what I mean when I'm referring to the COVID. I'm sorry.
All mixed.
Yeah. I think, so we had 1 community death from COVID in January, 1 from RSV, and then 2 nursing home deaths from the flu.
And you don't know by any chance if they were vaccinated, do you?
I don't, I'm sorry. The nursing homes are typically really good about flu vaccination. However, the RSV and the COVID aren't always as we'd prefer it.
Animal bites, 8 dogs, and 4 cat bites.
Yeah.
Cold weather makes them grumpy.
Yeah, that makes us grumpy.
Okay. Anything else for this funny case?
There's somebody trying to save them in the cold.
Well,
Place.
a lot of times that is the story, so don't cut the channel that you don't.
No, you're
yeah,
not.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Next up, we have
Office.
Office for the Aging, OFA.
We're going to say that. but that's what I noticed.
Whoa.
I got
Where's
dressed
your tie?
first. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hi there.
Hello.
I have two requests for you today. The first is to fill the administrative assistant position.
I'll move. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And so carried.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
The second is to adjust revenue and expense accounts to amend the contract with my colleague over here at the health department.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Our evidence for
Carried.
Oh, that's it.
those are all my resolutions.
Okay.
I just wanted to update you. I'm going to the Spring Leadership Institute, April 13th to 15th. That's why all the directors get together and,
Where's that?
Cooperstown. I
Oh, why
believe.
did you pick like somewhere south or?
Yeah. If I got to pick, it would be Disney World. But I don't get to pick. But I'm very excited about that. I usually come back with a lot of really good ideas from the other AAAs, and that's where a lot of my crazy ideas of my staff love.
We're in a little mud season. and going to-
Yeah, it'll be good.
That's a great.
We like to go off season. In the fall, we're usually in Lake George.
Actually, you're
Really
able
nice.
to get into the baseball hall of fame.
Exactly.
I might check it out. And the other super exciting information is that the respite center is finally opening this Friday, right? Is the 20th?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're meeting
Um,
now.
We should do it Friday the 13th.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yes,
give it a week.
That was talked about. So officially, finally opening the doors, this Friday, February 20th. It'll be the third Friday of every month at the Canaan location. We're still waiting on finalizing a contract agreement with the Chatham location that we have been talking with. With Linda Shear coming on board as of April 1st as the new caregiver coordinator to replace Michelle Cram as she transitions out because she's moving. We're going to be looking at additional time at the Canaan location. I think the last month when I was here, I mentioned we were going to be meeting with the library, the Association of Libraries. That meeting was held, and I think 4 or 5 of them are ready to move forward and actually start planning about possibly also being host sites there. So I'm getting like goosebumps. I'm so excited. Pass this around if you'd like. So if you have questions about the program itself, feel free to reach out. I tried to make the flyers informative, but not overwhelming. The way that we designed the program, as Supervisor Adams knows, we did it so that it is underneath the New York State Office for the Aging and FCSP National Family Caregiver Support Program. So that, because right now it is grant funded, as this hopefully expands and takes off, we will be able to seamlessly integrate it into our existing budget. So we won't have to make any major changes to the program. The state has already given us all of their stamps of approval on how it's going to be run, which means, if we open it up to, there's possible revenue opportunity here if we open it up to, say, Rensselaer County, if we do an agreement with them, because the Rensselaer County OFA, they don't have any respite centers in their county. The state actually suggested we look into that once we get it up and running. We could open it up at the northern level areas to Rensselaer County residents and charge them a fee. It could turn into a revenue source. I'm not positive about Dutchess County. I think they do have respite centers down there, but we're very excited. We've got our volunteers all set, ready to go. We've got, I believe, Zumba scheduled for Friday, and then chair yoga is going to be set up to start after that. We've got Discover Live, which is a virtual live tour of locations across the country set up for folks. Michelle has already talked about when the weather clears up a little bit more, maybe trying to incorporate some like Dutch Apple cruise with the group as they start to get together, just to really build up this respite and support program. So I'm super excited. Very, very excited. Questions?
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Good job.
Monday leaves.
Yes, yeah.
Hi there, Dan. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Dan. Excuse me, Supervisor Bellman. Thank you.
Mr.
Visited your
Almasi.
restaurant once
Mr.
again.
Almasi, there you go.
That's right. Let's go formal. It's official.
Mr. Almasi.
I think a total of 6 resolutions today, asking for your support. The first of which is a financial resolution to allocate some $80,000 over to, it's a outreach worker for Reentry Columbia. This was a resolution that passed previously, but since the money has to be reallocated, I was asked to present a resolution.
I'll move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any conversation about it? Okay, so carried.
Second financial resolution is authorization to accept $336,000. That was easy.
I always like the money.
Bring that to the money.
Sure you don't want to talk about it? All right.
All in favor? Opposed? So
Some
carried.
has arrived already. More will come over the quarters as they unfold throughout 2026. Personnel resolutions. The first personnel resolution is to abolish what is becoming an obsolete title. It's Psychiatric Social Worker Assistant 1. That belongs to an individual that's retiring, and that title is no longer a title that would suit the department. So we're abolishing it.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Conversation, and so carried.
I just have a question about that. Is that a civil service position?
Yes.
Is that why we have to formally retire it? Or is it just to retire it to get that vacancy off your book?
Good question. I don't know if it's civil service.
Okay, so it's just to get it off.
I said, so you're not tempted.
So it's just to get it off the books, yeah, okay.
It's still budgeted, and I'll be speaking to that in a moment. At least for this year, we have our sights set on a portion of that salary. If you'll allow me to present this one personnel resolution, and I'll still when I get to the third and fourth. So the next resolution is to fill a vacant behavioral health care coordinator. This individual is retiring as well, so I just want to backfill the position with.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
So we'd like to upgrade a total of 2 support type titles, the first of which is account clerk to a senior account clerk. The plan is to use some of the salary of the title being abolished to help us do that.
I'll move it. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
And then in a similar way, we'd like to upgrade a clerk typist to an intake clerk, similarly with the funds from the abolished title.
I'll move that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
And I'm assuming these were all left on to point one as well.
Yes. And then last is a general resolution to contract with People USA, not for profit, for providing the department with a peer specialist, certified peer specialist. This is an individual that we are embedded in our department, serves in quite a valuable role based on their lived experience and engaging with clients upon admission, and also working with them throughout their episode of care with us.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any discussion on it? Okay, so moved.
Okay, thank you for your support. I just have one announcement. I shared the flyer with Kelly. We're going to be hosting a overdose prevention training. It's Narcan training at 325 Columbia Street up on the 3rd floor. 2 dates, the 25th and the 26th. And we're going to start at 5 p.m. till 6. And then on the 26th, we start at 1 in the afternoon. It's really simple to get trained on Narcan. There'll be additional information about overdose prevention provided as well. So it doesn't take an hour to get trained on Narcan. But if you could promote it in your towns, that would be appreciated. We'd like to get as good of a turnout as possible. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done in regard to overdose prevention. We have a lot of things to be proud of that we've done, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And the more Narcan we can get into people's hands, the better that is, and it drops the overdose rate.
Any questions?
That's a quick question about the peer specialist. I was looking at People USA, and that's a great position. And I'd done research and work on peer navigation specialists a number of years ago. I'm just curious, like, is the contract because they essentially train people up into this kind of position and then like look to place them? In other words, like, you know, why not? Isn't it just like the individual is hired directly through DOT?
Well, historically, we contracted with another nonprofit. They provided us maybe 2 or 3 peer specialists throughout the tenure of this position. They were struggling to provide us with a peer, so we pivoted and approached People USA. I don't think they traditionally do this, but their CEO, Executive Director Steve Michio, said yes, he could find someone, and they did. So we're now contracting with them, but I don't think they are in the business of creating certified peer specialists for the purposes of this.
They pay them, you're saying, so the contractors do that?
Yes.
Versus.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're People USA's employee.
Got it.
We haven't gone the route of a county position because that would likely come in at a greater cost.
Okay. Thanks.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that machine, the distribution machine, how's that work? I mean, is it working?
Yes.
Are you using it?
Yes, it's going very well. I believe I spoke to that last time, but if I didn't, I think I had numbers as to how many Narcan kits were dispensed. It was quite remarkable. It's actively being used. We're dispensing Narcan, fentanyl, and xylazine test strips, and we got approval to put prophylactics in there, so it's dispensing condoms as well.
Right.
Anything else for Mr. Alasi?
Okay, thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Everyone knows my next question. Does anybody from the board have anything they'd like to bring up? Does anybody on the board have anything they'd like to bring up? Questions from the public? Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry I answered this question. What is the Healy home that Mr. Messing was talking about? And then, Quinn County Recovery is also considering building lodging on Healy Avenue. Are those 2 separate projects?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And the other thing, if the Healy Homes is going to be a temporary, just like Galvin Civic Hotel, just like a hotel, is there also, and I guess this was sort of brought up in your discussion too, is there, it seems like one of the reasons so many people, so many people are homeless is that there simply are not enough lodging places where they charge affordable prices and it's almost like sometimes they don't let people get away with paying affordable prices suddenly a small 1-bedroom apartment costs over $1,000 a year. So the people have no choice. They have to turn the living room into another bedroom, take a roommate. So then they charge, so then they double the rent because they say, well, no, you can't get away with paying less than $1,000 a month. So it's as if the future of housing will be these small, for single people, these small single rooms, and permanent housing, not temporary, but permanent housing. And then, or people living in their cars. And of course, and then the problem comes when there's more than one person in the household.
Is there a question to that?
No, I just want, so is there also a thought of like perhaps something like the Healy Homes, but having them as permanent housing in mind?
These are individual investors, so it's a matter of finding an investor, or not us, that's interested in doing that. And I'm sure it's cost prohibitive to do it. And that's why you're seeing, 10,000 square foot building with 26 units in it versus a whole complex that would cost an astronomical amount of money. And then the rents are going to be higher than the numbers you were just quoting. I don't know of any landlords that are doubling the rent on a one bedroom because someone lives in the living room. I mean, that's a statement. I don't know. I don't know of any landlords doing that. I mean, maybe there's a few, but, I know I own buildings and I have people that take one bedroom apartments and sometimes they use the living room as a second bedroom and the rent's the rent. So I don't know who's doing that.
I say, okay, if sometimes I'm thinking like over maybe a 5-year period that.
Well, I mean, all the expenses go up in these buildings too. I mean, and some of these buildings include heat. And the heating cost for landlords is through the roof. So, you know.
Maintenance, taxes.
Maintenance, taxes, water bills.
Yeah.
I can tell you that owning an apartment building is not as lucrative as people think.
Not as lucrative as it used to be.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's not lucrative.
It's,
at all.
it's,
And
you can
sometimes
barely cover your expenses.
taxes and insurance and.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Bob. Did you see that that new building by you, the
7th Street.
7th Street?
27th.
Yeah, have you been able to put people in there?
I have not,
Okay.
we have not placed in there. It's like.
Why?
Cost.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Is it good?
What's that?
Is it good?
It's a good building. I toured all of the rooms. There are some that are off the market.
Affordable,
Right.
There's only certain units that have been set aside as affordable housing, the rest are market rate.
Correct. My point on that, and I was gonna bring it over here, building will bring the cost of living down at the numbers game. Right? You know, it's like musical chairs, but it's real because it's housing. So if we were to quadruple the number of, let's say, one bedroom apartments in the greater Hudson area, and certainly in the greater Hudson area or the county, guess what happens to market rate, right? Because now there's competition there. What happens in it when your housing stock becomes decrepit, is that the competition goes away. And when you do have livable spaces, you're going to have a lot of applicants for it. It's a natural market force.
So I don't know what, Mr. Messing's costs are, but there's a project that's under consideration in our part of the county right now for dorm rooms, and the cost to build dorm rooms, which is no kitchen and a shared shower and suites of 4, is $900 a square foot. It's $900 a square foot. Yes.
I'm under the impression that, and maybe you can correct me if you know, that Depot, 7th Street Depot Lofts is not fully rented. I think it's only a 50% rented. Anybody got updated information on that?
I know, but I
think they're having a hard time.
I'm not sure doesn't look like it's more than 50%. That's a guess.
I mean, Mike Tucker might know.
Yeah, Mike might know. You know, I mean, I think it's just a matter of these things take time to fill up, and your market's got to find itself there. With any home, again, with these places going up, is that at the very least it moves people around and it opens up other rooms and makes them available. So that's the hope.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Right.